Hi guys, in this hair tutorial video I'm going to be sharing with you techniques for blow drying type 4 hair textures. Yeah, so at this point we'll be ready to start the blow drying process. So I'm just going to turn Summer around because when we do the blow drying, we're going to start from the back and then we're going to work our way to the front. And at this point, before you start the process, you will probably go through the hair. The section you're about to start, you might need to go over with the comb to detangle, because Afro hair naturally it wants to shrink in itself. So anytime you're about to start the process, you just need to take some time, just comb it out to make sure that it's not tangled back in, and then you proceed with the blow drying process. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to obviously get our dryer and place the attachment, but as I mentioned before, I am going to just work in smaller sections so I can actually show you guys how to do the process of the blow drying of the hair. So this will be sectioned out here. I'm just going to quickly demonstrate how to hold the hair and how to hold your dryer at the same time when you're doing the process of the blow drying. When you blow dry the hair, you're going to be working with the heat on maximum heat and maximum airflow. You want this to be as quick as possible and efficient as possible. And that level of heat that we're working with is actually going to allow the hair to stretch. So it's the heat that allows the hair to stretch and to stay in that state. If you try and do your blow drying on like medium heat and medium airflow, the hair could get dry, but it might not stretch the coil out as much as we want to actually see in the hair. So I recommend you do this on maximum heat and maximum airflow. The only dryer I would say maybe you want to keep it on medium would be if you're using the Dyson, depending on the hair, how thick or thin the hair is. It's quite a powerful dryer and it's quite strong. So you might want to either go in with more like a medium heat to start off with. And then you can always adjust the heat to high if you feel that it's required. But for most of your dryers, you'll be okay just going with a high heat to start off with. When the dryer doesn't have the attachment to it, it's quite short. But the moment I attach this here, it's going to create more length to the dryer. So it makes it a little bit more awkward to try and blow dry while you're holding it at the handle. So I tend to kind of cradle the hair dryer in this position here. That's how I hold the dryer. So when I'm holding the dryer, what I'm actually doing is I'm going to be holding the hair and then blow drying at the same time. So you want to be careful that the handle is parallel to your body, so it's not pointed towards your face. So you don't want to hold the dryer this way when you're blow drying with the direction that I'm holding right now, because this is literally going to hit you in the face and you don't want that to happen. So you want to make sure that it's parallel away from the face and parallel to your body. And the attachment itself is positioned in a way that it's the teeth on the attachment are facing down and you're not putting it in this direction here, because if I put it this way, I'm naturally going to hold it this way and then this is going to face towards my face, and we don't want that. So this has to be placed in this position. When you put it in, just make sure you press it down so it doesn't actually come off when you start doing the blow drying process. So this is kind of like the correct positioning. At some point I will change how I'm holding the dryer. So when I start the process, right now I just need to get that hair to be smooth and straight. Once the hair is stretched out and I need to get closer to the root area here and around the hairline, it's quite awkward to try and blow dry while I'm holding the dryer in this manner here. So I'm going to have to change the position and hold it at the handle, and then now I can go in and get closer to the roots. So the process of the blow drying itself is similar to when you detangle hair. When you detangle someone's hair, you don't go in from the roots to the ends. You start your way from the ends and then you go lower to the middle until you eventually get to the root area. So it's the same thing with the blow drying. So what we would be doing is, I'm right-handed, so naturally I'm always going to hold the hair in my left hand and my dryer is going to be on the right. If you're left-handed, you're going to hold the dryer on your left. Again, you make sure that you position it the correct way. You hold it on your left and the hair is going to be held in the right. So you want to make sure that you hold that hair, but not too tight to the scalp. And all you're doing is you're just combing from the ends and then working your way through to the middle. Okay, so you're going to comb the hair and then you're working your way down to the middle. So this is pretty much the process that we're doing. You're just holding the hair and then combing and drying at the same time. Once this is combed out and it's dry and it's stretched out, you move further down to the middle of the section. You continue with that process, and eventually you're going to get close to the root area here. But you notice my hand always stays in the hair, just in case, you know, I need to control the movement or any areas are tangled. I can easily catch that and stop it from tagging and pulling and causing pain for my model while I'm styling her hair. Okay, so once I've done this process here and the hair is dry and I'm happy with how stretched out it is, and I want to get more closer to the roots, I'm going to change the positioning of how I'm holding the dryer, and that's when I then come in low, because now I can go in straight from the roots out to the ends of the hair, because this is already stretched out. I don't have to worry about causing any pain or pulling. So there's a bit of a process to the point where you can just go directly into the roots and brushing that out completely to the ends of the hair. So that's the process of what we're doing when we're doing the blow drying. I'm going to go ahead and blow dry all the hair first with the fork attachment, and then once the hair is completely blow dried out, I can then go in and decide if I need to smooth the hair out a little bit more. So this is when I would go in with my paddle brush. I would have taken this attachment and replace it with the regular attachment that comes with the dryer, and then follow that through with my paddle brush, as I mentioned before. It's only necessary to do that if you feel that the hair needs to be smoothed out a little bit more. So my heat is going to be on maximum, my airflow is going to be on maximum. I've positioned my attachment the correct way and it's facing the correct direction, and I have a good grip on my model's hair, and then I'm going to start the process of doing the blow drying technique. Once the hair is blow dried and is smoothed out, if you look at the ends of the hair there, it's still got that slight texture to it. It's not as smooth out as we want it to. So this is when I'll go in with my paddle brush. I'll focus around this area here to smooth it out a little bit more. It all depends on the styling that you're going to do. If it's just for a basic cornrow styling, this might be enough to just leave it as it is. But if it's going to a braid or a cornrow where you're actually going to see the hair in that style and it's going to be kept for a while, I would probably recommend that you smooth that a little bit more, okay? Before I go ahead and demonstrate how to do the smoothing out with a paddle brush, one thing I want to note, I want you guys to be aware of, is that whenever you're doing your blow drying with Afro hair, you'll find that it does get quite smoky. It's because of the products that we use, where they're a little bit more on the oilier side, combined with the heat that we're using. Wherever you're working is naturally going to become very smoky. So don't panic and think that you're burning the person's head. It's just part of the process. So the next thing I'm going to do is to just switch my attachment to the one that I mentioned about, the one that comes with the dryer. And then I'll just smooth Summer's hair out with the paddle brush. So I'm only doing this part here where I've done with the fork attachment and then going with the paddle brush, because I'm just demonstrating that for you guys. But what you would actually do is to blow dry the whole head with the fork attachment first, and then you go in afterwards with a paddle brush, so you don't work in small sections and you keep on switching and changing as you go. You just want to do it very seamlessly. So I'm still keeping that heat level on maximum and the airflow on maximum as well. So what I'm doing now is, with this process, I'm literally just taking the hair, and with your brush, as you go in, you'll kind of do a slight turn. So when you turn that brush in, it will naturally just create more tension and pulling on the hair, which allow you to create a bit more of a smoother transition and finish on the hair as well. So I'll focus and start on the ends of the hair, because naturally the hair is still tightly coiled. It's still dry and stretched out a little bit more, but it's still a slight tight coiling around here. So again, I'll just gently lift that and then work my brush through, and then the airflow is directed. So you kind of hold your dryer parallel to the brush as you go. So you're turning that in as you go, and it's just following through. So I'll just quickly do this process here. Okay, so just that blow drying and smoothing with the paddle brush has helped to stretch that hair out a little bit more, and we're able to go in and create a much more smoother finish with any braid work that we're going to be doing here. So again, just be mindful when you're working with this, because you're getting quite close to the scalp as well. So you want to always keep that attachment parallel to the scalp, so you don't point it directly to the scalp when you're working on someone's head, because you don't want to bend their scalp as well. So you always work parallel to the scalp. And if I just quickly mention about your fork attachment as well, with this here, when I go in with the drying, so when I'm holding it up with the dryer, I'm doing this combing technique, but again, this comes through parallel. So say this is someone's scalp here, I comb this down parallel. Instead of pointing it directly, instead of brushing down, you're bringing it more at a parallel angle as you're doing your blow drying through. So you always work at a parallel angle, so it's not, your heat is not directed towards the scalp area. So you just want your client or your model, whoever you're working on, you want them to be comfortable. You don't want to be burning anyone's scalp. So that's the process of how you do your blow drying technique for your type 4 hair textures. It applies the same whether you're styling men's hair or women's hair, children's hair. It's still the same process, still the same process of prep, and still the same process in regards to the products that you actually apply and how you apply them to the hair. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue with the process of blow drying Summer's hair and smoothing it out completely. Okay, so that's how we do our blow drying and smoothing out for our type 4 hair textures. As you can see on Summer's hair here, we've given a really good blow dry and smoothing out that hair. Just on the ends there, because she hadn't had her hair trimmed in a while, I just went through and just gave her a nice little trim and tidy up for the ends. That just made the hair sit a little bit more fuller. So this is the process of how you get that finish for your type 4 hair textures. And then from this point, you can then decide whether you leave in the hair as it is or you're going to do any other styling in the hair.